We are indeed recording. Hi, everybody. This is Knight. Along with me is Keo, as you can see on the screen. And we have Meta with us, who is the dragon head in the corner, because that's all you're going to see for now. Um, I'll click it onto me. This is our first try at a podcast. We haven't come up with a name yet, but we just wanted to see what would happen if we have it come up. More of a trial run. So, also to get what you guys think about it. So, what we're going to do on this podcast is talk about gaming things or issues and non-gaming issues. And maybe some more as we get further into the podcast idea. So, the first thing I would like to talk about, because it is a non-gaming thing that's been going on, and lately it's died down, but it was something I thought about a lot of when it was really, really a heated discussion. Um, for those of you that may not know what it is, it's a thing that deals with schools, particularly third and fourth graders. What they call is Common Core, and mostly it's dealing with math, but it has gone on to other subjects like geography, for instance. And a lot of parents and a lot of teachers in these schools are kind of trying to figure out why this is a thing that we have to teach fourth graders, even though it's really not designed for fourth graders. Um, so, to give you an example of one of these problems, um, I will say one of them. There are 18 students in a classroom. Um, a teacher basically tells them to say one number, and the last number is 90. Um, what is the number that they counted by? Now, if you are really good at math and you're very simplistic, you would take 18 divided by 90, and the answer would be 5. Now, the answer may be correct in that case, but they don't want that version of the work. They want a whole different way of doing it.
They want you to paraphrase. They don't want you to do 3 steps to that answer. They want you to take over 108 steps. They want you to draw out like a diagram of like 3 different circles, I guess, and each one of them with like hash marks in them, counting how many there actually are.
Yeah, it's basically
It's an overly complex way of trying to get the answer to what is essentially a simple math problem.
yeah, and that's just one example. And the way that the actual answer that is a person draws 18 circles, and like as Meta said, puts a hash mark to each one of the circles until they count to 90. But they have to do it one individually and just keep rotating through and through until they get 90, and that's how you get their answer of 5.
Nothing wrong with doing this in your head, mind you, but they actually want you to show the work.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, and they're expecting this for fourth graders. Even third graders are having this problem now. And to an example of a third grade question, they literally kind of put a pre-calculus type question, and this is one I found out much later on. The question would be, how do you get 10 when you add 8 plus 5? We already know that 8 plus 5 equals 13. That's common knowledge. But the way it is that to get the answer, it's basically 13 equals parentheses 8 plus 2 parentheses plus 3. Which typically you don't learn that until you're at least probably in high school.
To be honest,
Maybe
in
even...
all honesty, I was never taught that. We did proper math that made sense all the way through to even calculus 2.
Yeah.
There was no of those bullshit trick questions like that.
Yeah, I mean, these are literally trick questions for third and fourth.
It's not that it's a trick question. It's just that they want you to do the math their way. They don't want you to do it your own way.
Well,
it takes away that freedom from you.
Well, here's the thing. When they asked this question to a third grader, because this was a third grade question, the third grader replied, you cannot get 10 when you add 8 plus 5, which technically he's correct if you do it the simplistic way and you looked at the question.
No, he is correct. The other way doesn't exist.
Actually, the other way does exist. It's just a really, really fucked up way of existing.
Whoever came with it is an idiot.
Yeah, I know. The only reason I know it exists... The only reason I know it exists is because in 11th grade math that I took at my high school, this was the stuff I was learning. I don't see the point of actually having this type of math. It is not simplistic. It's always been complicated, even in the 11th grade level.
And it's pointless.
Oh yeah, it's a pointless type of math that we don't really need to learn unless you're going to be a mathematician when you grow up.
Then it's worthless, because mathematicians are going to be doing calculus, not that.
Exactly. It's one of those weird forms of math that exists nowadays. For some reason, they're trying to get this to 3rd, 4th graders. I don't understand it. It makes no damn sense to make it this way.
Well, it makes no sense to teach it to anyone, so...
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I was under the impression that the problem was that it's overly complicated, even for a 4th grader. Even if they did go through the process they did in order to reach that kind of answer.
Yeah, it is overly complicated. That's where the parents are upset. I also found out... I found out there was a rocket scientist that was a parent to one of those children that had this. And that person literally wrote to the teacher, explained how fucking complicated this is from a 3-step to this complicated mess on just a simple subtraction answer.
A simple division.
No, it wasn't the one we talked about with that one. This was a different question altogether. It was one I just kind of found out recently.
Really?
I looked on... I went on Google Images, and there just happened to be one of them. And this rocket scientist basically wrote a fucking letter on this, showing both sides of the work, and tells you that nobody's going to do this complicated mess. They're always going to do the simplistic mess.
Well,
which is just like 2 steps.
Grader is going to do this.
Well, no, this was a 3rd grade question because it was subtraction.
Even worse, no 3rd grader's gonna do that.
I know.
You know what was on my mind when I was in 3rd grade? Oh my God, school sucks.
Yeah.
That was what was on my mind.
Well,
okay?
back when you and I were in 3rd grade, the most hated subject for most students was math. But it was simple math. Even now, you look at that math and you're like, that was simple.
Oh, wow.
Why did I hate it back then? Now... That's what you look at it. I'm 26. That was back in the 90s when I was in 3rd and 4th grade.
I was like 8 times 8. Back then, I was like 8 times 8. Oh, shit.
What the fuck is this?
But now it's like 8 times 8. Oh, wow. I could do that in my sleep. What is that, 56?
Yeah, I think so. No, it'd be 64.
Damn it! I still don't know.
You were close, but you were off by 8.
Damn it.
But
that's
again...
8 times 7, actually.
It's 56 is 8 times 7. But yeah, that's...
I just lost all of my credibility in a few sentences.
But anyway, we digress. That back in 3rd and 4th grade, those are the harder questions. Those are the ones that we try to figure out and try to learn. Multiplications and long division were the 2 type of subjects 3rd and 4th graders needed to learn. When you take that away from them and give them a complicated mess, to me it's reminded me of back when I was in kindergarten when you use your fingers to count when you added things.
Yeah,
what's 2 plus 2 is like 1, 2, 1, 2, and you get 4. Like, yeah, the answer's 4. That's how you used to count.
You kind of needed that back then, though, because, like, you needed to learn how the process was done.
Well, yeah,
right?
that was the cool thing about it, is because back then, that's how you learned. But as we got older, we realized we only have 10 fingers. So, we had to eventually learn that we can't use our fingers ever again once we got problems that increased more than 10 as a number. So, after a while, that's how we broke into learning how to do subtraction, multiplications, and divisions. And now we're getting this type of math in our cities and states that is so complicated that even the top percentile children from the year before that learned this math are going into C's and D's and even F's. That's crazy. And just that one subject, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't agree with it. This is something I didn't learn in when I was 4th grade because I wouldn't have understood it. And I doubt any kid could understand it. And that's going to harm them from graduating in the future because if they're getting this, I'm wondering what the hell they're giving to 11th and 12th graders at this point. Are they giving them such like expert level college stuff that they don't quite understand yet, you know?
Well, technically, high schoolers do take college classes.
Yeah, well, yes, true. But they take a simpler form of it. They don't take, like, the actual class.
Actually, in the math stuff, it gets a bit harder than the actual college stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but they like to trick you in high school, too. But again,
What we need to understand is that the reason why we simplify these problems and the reason why we try to simplify it all in our heads so that we can quickly get to the answer is so that when we go to tackle the bigger stuff, you know, calculus, trigonometry, geometry, we can just simply do we can do simple math in our heads in order to be able to come to the conclusions of the much bigger problems.
true. And simple math is used for everyday life. It is. It's how you do your taxes. It's basic math on that. It's also how you do, like, grocery shopping. You figure, okay, I need 2 of this. This cost me $5. But this over here is 2 for $4. So it's almost the same thing. Not exact. I'll
That's
take the
like you're
cheaper one.
getting more fluid ounces out of one product than out of another product
Exactly.
for a better bargain.
Exactly, and the same thing goes for when you get fruit and the weight and all that stuff. And so you figure all this easy, simple math. So if you want to go to decimals, yeah, it gets a little bit more complicated, but it's still simple enough for you to figure out, okay, this is how much it is, and you just kind of get it in your head. That's what it should be preparing you for. It shouldn't be giving you this stuff that you're never going to really need in everyday life, especially
You're
to
never
4th
going
graders.
to need to make your problems as complicated. And you know what? I guess I'm trying to see this from the Common Core point of view, playing devil's advocate if you are. They want you to be able to show your work. They want you to be able to show off that you won't know what you're doing, but in the end, you're still trying to teach this to 3rd and 4th graders.
Mhm.
Also, you kind of need less thought power for this Common Core stuff.
Yeah.
You count to 90 with dashes, you know, or whatever in circles.
Yeah.
It's dumbed down math.
Well, it's dumbed down yet complicated math.
Yeah, they're making it more complicated by making it stupider.
Which is a weird way of saying it, but it's true. It is a very, like, obsolete form of math. It is such an obsolete form of math that people are literally going to their city council and to the state and just writing to them and saying, why are our children learning this stuff? This shouldn't be a thing. At no point should this have ever come in the idea. And whoever created this idea of Common Core is a fuckwit. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Probably more of trying to improve the U.S. statistics in education.
Which is not how you
Officially.
do it.
It's not working.
No,
It's
but I think
actually
the
failing
idea
pretty
was
bad.
to make America look good.
Yeah, this whole program just doesn't make anyone look good again, because if this was thought up by a mathematician, oh my god, that guy's career is
Well, it
fucking
was.
screwed.
This was thought by politicians.
Well, it's not that, but this type of math was thought up way long ago. This is like 200-year-old type math. That's why I said it's obsolete. We don't take this type of math anymore. Because we got, like, calculators
Because
now. We have the idea of how to do it with just pen and paper and make it so much simpler.
Also because we are taught efficiently how to do math.
Yeah.
How to do that math. We don't need to no longer draw circles on a piece of paper and then put hash marks in them. We can just do all that in our head.
Yeah. Because the way,
have a calculator.
Or have a calculator.
yeah,
exactly.
there's so many things now that we have that makes it so simpler. It makes us so efficient, so makes it so faster to get to the next point. We don't need that because I don't think any single parent out there is gonna take out a piece of paper and draw 18 of whatever item when they're going grocery shopping and say, "This is gonna cost me $90. How many can I get for $90 or whatever?" It's not gonna make them do that. They're gonna either look at a calculator or they're gonna just make a judgment call.
Yes, it's like what my math teacher says. You're going to use a calculator. You're not studying math to learn math. You're there to learn the theory and the concept.
Exactly.
But out of that, you're just going to use a calculator or some program that's going to do all the work for you.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, it's a theory course. It's not actually math. Math is theory.
yeah, it's just, it's so weird to hear that this is the type of math they're teaching to the future. Not necessarily to help them, just teach them the future of math, which it really isn't. It's an obsolete form. This is such an old type of math that nobody really uses it.
Maybe, just to play devil's advocate again, what if the guy thinks that the efficiency that we're doing math has made us dumber for it?
I don't know if that's the case. It is certainly a thought. But I think at this
is getting dumb. Let's face the fact there.
Like, you know how we're advancing so fast in technology that everything's at our fingertips. Like,
calculators.
if you got an internet, like calculators, like freaking iPhones,
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, the fact that
giving
we have
media.
the fact that we have cell phones and calculators, it
Just,
might
just,
be a
just complete what I'm trying to say. Pretty much that what I'm trying to say is efficiency seems to have made us lazier.
that's a way of looking at it. Yeah,
Well,
I agree with that.
Not entirely true, because I've seen some of like the physics algorithms. Oh god, all those were made before computers and whatnot. There was a lot of shortcuts in there.
So, what would you say your counter argument is to that?
I think he's talking to you, Kyo.
The laziness has always been there.
Yeah, I think
Because the laziness predates the technology.
yeah.
Right.
It seems that's where we're going. It's like we want to make it easier. It's been like that for what, 50 years at least?
Oh god, 60, 70, maybe
Yeah,
even 80.
When the idea of
Yeah,
robotics and
no,
computers
no.
were a thing, essentially. It's the idea is help us, make us, okay, do this calculation. And I mean, it was done even before that. You think about, I think it was either China or Japan, they still use abacus. And that's like their version of a calculator. I don't know how it works. I'm just mind blown that these kids can do it like that. But they do it. They use an abacus, and that's their calculator. And that was technology that's about 100 and some years old.
Like the Japanese and Chinese education systems are insane, though.
Oh yeah, I know that.
America just want to be able to handle what they have to go through.
Yeah, and that's what I'm afraid is that, like,
I mean,
with
I
common.
completely agree.
Yeah, and
You
I.
have to decide. You're basically studying essentially pre-college in high school.
Yeah,
High school is not pre-college in America. It's basically they get you enough educated so you can possibly function, but it's not a prequel to college. We don't have that like Japan and China does.
yeah.
It's a larger jump between high school and college.
Well, even Europe's got that type of system as well. Like, they immediately, any kids that graduate from high school, they immediately go to college. It's almost like a law there or something like that, but they get it for free.
There's some countries, yeah.
Yeah, well, I know, like, I think, like, London and England, well, England, I should say, or the
I don't think all of
United
England
Kingdom.
gets
I just know that there's a lot of European countries that are like that. I'm sure there's more than that too. But it's so Like, this math should not be taught. Again, it's so complicated, it shouldn't be taught anymore, but it's a thing. It's a bad thing. There's no really good pro to it unless you're trying to teach them how complicated math was, which is redundant and stupid. That's more on the history of math. That shouldn't exist to everyday math at all.
I mean, math. Maybe that point of math really doesn't matter too much anymore.
Yeah.
Like the high level stuff, it's all calculus for the most part.
Yeah.
That and bits of trigonometry, but calculus has enough trig in it anyway.
Well, it's not just that. It's like stupid cat. It's not just that. It's the fact that nowadays, like, people are still intimidated with math. Even when you're in high school, you get intimidated by math because you don't know what you're going to learn. And yet, it's the simplest subject to ever learn. Because you could say, like, English should be easy because you're just reading most of the time. Or you could say PE is the easiest thing because all you're doing is running all the time. Those are two different subjects that have nothing to do with what we're learning. I mean, you read a book. What do you learn out of that book? You just learn of the story, and that's it. Maybe some creativity as well. But you only read a book, is what that all it is. As far as math, you're actually learning things that you're going to take to you as you grow up. You're going to learn how to grocery shop and manage your money and do all this stuff with just the math you're going to know. That's what it's there for, so that way you're prepared for life. This type of math should not exist. It just shouldn't anymore. It's so old, it doesn't need to be around.
I mean, I took home economics in high school. We just did everything on calculator.
Yeah. So, unless you have something more to say, Meta.
Well, not really. I was actually looking around online trying to find an accurate source for which countries are the most educated in the world. So far, the only thing I found was like something on 24/7 Wall Street about how the Russian Federation is the topmost educated country in the world. I don't know how accurate that is. This was from 2014, so take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I don't know what the most accurate one would be, and I don't know who the most educated is. Because when you look at Russia, Russia isn't typically one of the richer states. So I don't know.
Honest,
I don't know how their education is. I really don't.
I know nothing about Russia.
Yeah.
I will admit that up front because Ryan, like my knowledge about Russian history is zip. All I know is they were in World War II and they supported Hitler for a while. That's all I know.
It was a non-aggression pact, but
Yeah.
It's dated information. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
it's dated. To my knowledge, when I was in high school, the most educated countries were pretty much anybody that was in Asia. So I wouldn't.
China, Korea, and Japan, Sweden, and it's those Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway, and all them.
Yeah.
They're pretty good at that.
Yeah,
And both of those countries do get free college.
Yeah,
I know that.
I could see Russia being one of those type of countries that's really, really educated, but I don't know. I never hear anything about their educational system at all. I've heard more about the Japanese and Chinese educational systems than Russia's.
Russia's fairly typical European education. We don't really hear about that.
Yeah, it's really
We hear
hard to.
about the Chinese and the Japanese and the Koreans because they go to cram school and we watch anime and they always talking about cram school.
Yeah.
And they're always trying to like get to know like workers and such,
And
trying to
still-
develop relationships so that they can advance higher in the workplace.
Well, it's not that their worth ethic is fucking insane.
Yeah, work ethic is work till you commit suicide.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. They work themselves to death.
I wasn't gonna bring that up.
You don't have
Oh.
to. But that's what Japan and China and probably Korea are always like. They're always a country that will have that amazing work ethic, and I applaud them for that work ethic. But it's so much to the point where by the time they retire, they're so old and stuff like that that they don't really have much time to retire. They never get to really enjoy it.
I would hope no Korean or Japan person has retired, even when they get old, because they still want to make money and they
Yep.
still want to work.
Yeah, it's so weird. But yeah, they have amazing work ethic. I have to give them that. They're much better than any country I've ever heard about work ethics.
Well, I mean, there was a study. They compared American students to Japanese students.
Yeah.
It gave them each set of students 2 different tests. One test that was really easy and one that was extremely difficult. The American students, they both students did really well on the easy one. They both also did really bad on the hard one. But the test is they had to take the test again like a month later after they had time to actually prepare.
Yeah.
Right.
The Japanese students got A's on the hard one and really well on the easy one, of course. The American students did even better on the easy one and still failed the hard one.
Yeah.
The motivation, though, is Japanese are easily motivated by failure. They want to better themselves.
Yeah.
American students do not motivate by failure. They just get disheartened and give up. Success is the only thing that motivates Americans.
Yeah. And it's just.
Japanese have that type of motivation from like parents, but it's not the good kind. It's usually the kind where it's like you have to do well. You must, or you will never cement a place in this country.
They have
Or
like
in-
still that code of honor that they've always learned from
The
traditional.
children are supposed to take care of the parents,
Yeah, it's a code of honor by them. It's weird.
In America, if you don't have the money to support your parents, you let them rot in a retirement home.
Yeah,
In Japan, they live with you.
and you don't have no fucking choice. But again, it's still like that. They have a whole different motivation. If they fail, they feel like they've dishonored their family, and therefore they're either gonna go and commit suicide because that's the honorable thing to do for them for some reason, or they're gonna run away.
Not that it's honorable. It's just that they can't handle the pressure.
Well, yeah,
anymore.
because they feel like they dishonor their family and their ancestors. But so the only thing they think about, like, what is the most honorable thing I can do at this very moment?
You know what I just realized? That type of information could be completely out of date, and I probably don't know jack shit about Japan.
Well, it could be out of date. It's been a while since I learned all that stuff.
I think is quite a bit still looked down upon in Japan.
Yeah.
A lot more. In the past, few hundred years, they've had a pretty major shift.
It's
World War II they shift back to the old school ways because
They-
stuff.
well, there's a lot of reasons to that, which we will not go
But
into.
they don't teach that history anymore, so
Right.
Yeah,
that's why animes like Girl and Pencil get made,
Right.
so
But-
Yeah.
I think we
But
covered.
anyway, just to get to the bottom of this, Japan has such high work ethics, and because of that, they don't need Common Core math bullshit, and they never needed it. Why? Because they naturally progress to be smarter.
Yep.
To be smart enough to do all that type of
Well,
stuff.
Well, that being said, though, this is probably the type of math that they would teach fourth graders because they're that good. That being said, because they're so much more advanced to all of us, if they were prepared for it, this is the math they would probably teach to their fourth graders, and I don't know why they would.
Modern math, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if they have modern math, but I probably wouldn't doubt if they would teach this to them, just to give them a little bit more complication.
Second grade, not third.
Yeah, it's still insane. Common Core is bad. No matter what you could say to make a pro out of it, it's got a con to answer right back to it. And there's more cons to it right now than pro. There just is.
I can only assume that because of the language difference, there's very different ways for like between Japan's way of math and America's way of math. But the point is still that they didn't need this program because they were already under such a strict regimen to get this done.
Yeah. They're good as it is, and I think most of the entire world is pretty good when it comes to math.
Yeah,
I don't know
so
why. I have no idea why Common Core is a thing. I still don't. I don't know who.
Because America keeps falling behind.
I don't understand it. This is probably the worst type of math I've seen ever. Like I never would. I would never expect if I had a child. I'd never expect them to learn this type of math. I would expect them to learn what I learned at that same grade level.
It's a knee-jerk reaction to America falling behind in education.
Yeah.
So here's a question then. If Common Core is not the answer to to our education problem, what is? At least to math.
Math?
Go back to the simplistic form. I mean, you can still have a little bit of complication to the simplistic form.
The issue, is not just... I don't know what the issue actually is, though.
Yeah, what I didn't understand is why it was a thing in the first place. Like, traditionally...
America's falling behind. The world is moving ahead and we're falling behind.
Yeah, but what does this type of math help us with? You know, it just puts us back more to the Stone Age.
This is good and will help us catch up. It's a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah,
We need something more calculated, something better thought out.
Yeah.
Probably aimed older or aimed at a younger.
The issue is we don't have the money to fix it, and we don't care to put the money in it.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's more or less that.
We put it elsewhere, so we put it into defense. We need to, put some of that back into education.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that United States' education is just trash.
It is.
It's trash. In comparison to the entire world, we are one of the worst. And we are supposed to be the one of the more highly advanced countries out there.
China, Russia, they're
way ahead of us.
All enemies.
And they're way ahead of us. It's sad to say that, but it's true. And this type of math does not help. It does not help, it just makes it worse. And the thinking behind it to make it a thing, whoever thought it, again, I call him a fuckwit, or her, it could be a her, but they don't know what they're doing. They're making it worse. They're not helping, they're just not.
It just seems to me like the person who came up with Common Core didn't quite have a grasp on what was actually the problem.
Yeah.
And they didn't look... What I've heard right now is that some Board of Education is going to take another look at Common Core and try to see what they could improve upon and what they could fix.
A lot.
Hopefully, they will find the answer.
What they need to do is take away the complicated answers for 4th graders and 3rd graders. They need to just teach them the basics. The time of those type of complicated answers is when you're like in middle school. That's when you tell them, like, we're going to teach you a whole new form of math. This way we take away the whole simplistic form. When you're trying to teach this to a 4th grader, they don't understand it.
Well, I wouldn't say this is the more complex form of anything, though.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, if you're going to teach a complicated type of math, you don't teach it to 4th graders.
You're taking algebra and trig and the second part of algebra, and maybe even pre-calculus in middle school.
Yeah.
Those are what you take in middle school.
Yeah, and this is that type of math. This was what it comes down to. It's that
But
type of math, but it's an obsolete form of it.
This is even pre-calculus. It is third grade math taught wrong. That's
Yeah.
all this is. It is not. It has no connection to the higher level math.
Oh, I
It is
know.
the low level math taught wrong.
Well, one of the problems I mentioned earlier is a form of high level math. It's a bad version of it. It's a horrible version of it. It's not any high level math that we teach nowadays do not help us in the future. It just doesn't. It may help you if you become such a mathematician or some type of rocket scientist or something like that. But it's not going to teach you everyday math that you need to know.
That's kind of the issue, though. We need to not be focusing on the everyday math. You can get that done in a year. That's the issue with education, though. Education needs to focus on college and the high level stuff.
Yeah.
Everyday math you teach one semester and you're done.
Yeah.
Everything after that should be calculus and linear algebra and statistics and all that stuff. The stuff you actually need for your job.
Yeah.
A job that actually pays you money.
Yeah, I agree. So, I think we've talked enough about this subject. It's been about at least a half hour on this, and I think it's pretty good. We all agree it sucks. It is probably the worst type of math we've ever heard of. But like I said, it does go into other forms of subjects like geography and stuff like that. But I don't want to get into
geography anyway, though. They might actually need the dumbing down.
Well, yeah. But I'm not going to get into those ones. That type of Common Core, I don't know how they are. They're not the ones that are being talked about. It's really the focus of the math ones. So,
Honestly, I feel that while we did not reach like a conclusion on what else could be done better, like what part, I guess, I guess, like if this won't work, what will? I feel like we didn't reach a conclusion on that, but I feel like we have talked enough about it that we can just like move on. Maybe we'll have an answer next time.
yeah, right now I don't think any of us have an answer because if you were going with my answer, I would go back to the previous form because it was just simpler and it's easier to teach. It's not as complicated. That would be my answer for the time being.
That's too many. Really, we need the old stuff, but with a better ratio of teacher to student.
Yeah, and it
That's
has
the
to be
real-
taught at a specific grade level. Like
The
if you,
real issue is too many students and not enough teachers.
yeah, there's
You
that.
can teach the old way just fine, but if you have 60 students and one teacher, too many of them are going to get left behind.
That is crazy. Can there be too many students?
Well, there is.
You need each teacher can only deal with at most what 20 students.
Yeah, and right now I remember when I was in high school, each teacher that I went to was at least dealing with at least up to 40 students at a given classroom. That's
Because
one
in,
teacher
like,
to
high
40.
school and all that, you're supposed to be you and the teacher and whatnot. I mean, with
Yeah.
college it don't matter because you're supposed to succeed on your own.
Well, this is also compared to back, let's say, 1950s and 60s when there was probably maybe 20 to maybe 25 students per classroom.
Yeah, that's about as much as a teacher can handle alone.
Yeah,
We're putting triple that in your classroom and saying, teach them.
yeah. And most teachers are not professors, they're not in college. And I know college professors can teach up
Have a
to,
master's degree. They got their bachelor's and called it good.
yeah. That's pretty much what it is nowadays. And not a lot of people want to go into teaching. There's that too that's going on.
Hell, like college professors aren't also doing research,
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna move on. I think we've talked enough about Common Core and educational systems and from all around the world and what our opinions are about them. So I'd like to go on to now the gaming part of this podcast and to talk about a few things like what games we've played, what we think is good, what is
Oh,
bad.
dear Lord.
But not only that, talk about upcoming games that we look forward to and ones we kind of afraid of. So I'll start it off with the games I've played in the last month and a half. I'll start with Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse. I happen to actually like this game. I think it's really good for what it does. There are a few problems. One of them is that it's pretty much always online, no matter if you play single player or not, which does have a drawback to it. It doesn't hurt the gameplay, it just kind of annoys you when you cannot connect. As far as everything else, game's solid. It's easy to play. It's typical fighter, almost beat 'em up like. With an RPG element of leveling up your character, creating your character to customization, even to naming it and choosing what type of race. It almost feels like an MMO in that respect. Overall, it is a really good game. But in order to really enjoy it, you have to almost be a fan of Dragon Ball Z, I would say.
I think that goes without saying. It
Yeah.
is Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, then you're sold on this.
Yeah. Because if you're not, you're going to go in this pretty much blind. You can still have fun with it if you like this type of genre play. Gameplay, I should say. But you're not going to understand who the characters are. You're not going to understand the story plot or anything like that. You're going to go in this just kind of blank on the whole idea of why people like this type of anime style game. So, it does also have some other problems. There are times when you're playing single player, it can be incredibly difficult. But if you can figure a way of strategy around it, you can probably get through it pretty easily. It's not at all like too difficult that you cannot stand gameplay anymore. It's difficult in its progression, and that's typical RPG element. But yeah, I would recommend it, but only if you are a Dragon Ball Z fan, because that's the only way you're gonna really, really enjoy it. Otherwise, you're just not.
Well, they're usually pretty good spectacle fighters, though.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
So
We don't talk about the Kinect version though.
yeah, we stay away from that one. Xenoverse is more of a newer game. Xbox One and PS4 plus PC, and I played the PC version, and it's solid. It's a solid game. It's not the greatest game I've played, but it's solid. You can have a lot of fun of it, and would I recommend the pricing of $60 plus the season pass, which I think is $25? I would say yeah. But that's just me. If you're not a DBZ fan, get it on a sale. Just give it a try. You'll actually still have enjoyment even if you weren't a fan. Do you guys? I know you two haven't played Xenoverse, but have you watched it and seen any other things I missed?
Oh,
Do you want to talk about the fighting aspect? You did say it was a spectacle fighter. Would you feel like? Could you tell me what parts of the spectacle fighting are good? Question there.
That was Kyo that said it was a spectacle fighter. So
well, half your moves are pretty flashy, so yeah. it
so
is.
you basically, well, that's the entirety of DBZ in its own right too. And
you're sure, and like, not you're sure it captures the DBZ experience.
Oh yeah, I think it captures it pretty damn well.
I've watched enough, live streamers, Twitchers on it. That
Yeah, It
Yeah.
follows the DBZ universe really well. It takes the idea of, well, if you know anything about it, the Cell Saga with future Trunks being part of the multiverse and all that stuff, and expands upon the multiverse a lot more. It really works it to such a way where it's kind of like its own Elseworld storyline that you're playing, but it still takes, like, you're just trying to set the events back. It's all about time travel, and it's quite fun to see these what if storylines come apart, you know? Like, what if, for instance, Piccolo joined up with Frieza and you had to battle them out? Or what if Frieza, before he went to his final form, just absolutely decimated Goku when he was in Super Saiyan form? You know, it takes the idea of one of these what if stories and expands upon it, and it does it really, really well. So, unless you guys have anything else to say about it, you can. I pretty much
I've
said
never
everything.
played it.
I've never played it.
Well, never played
I-
it, but you've seen enough footage of it, is what I mean.
I will try to play it. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, though. I think I'll wait for it to go on sale.
Yeah, it is.
My
Go ahead.
no, I was just about going to say my funds don't allow me to buy really expensive things anymore.
Yeah. It is far better than the games I've played that I've been hearing are good. Like, for instance, Evolve, or what's another good example of it? I'm trying to think of the name. Right now I can't think of it.
Good releases.
There just hasn't been really a whole lot of good releases. Yeah, I mean, even if you look at Evolve, that release was really kind of like, people got pissed off at how much it cost.
Are people still playing that?
Oh, people are still playing it. It just
Just like there are people still playing Borderlands 2.
yeah.
Like I'm sorry. I really tried to like Borderlands 2. And the closest I got to loving it was when I did the Tiny Tina DLC.
Yeah.
But after that, it's just like, oh my god, guys, what the fuck? Oh, this game is boring. That's right, I said it. Borderlands 2 is fucking boring.
As much as you say that, technically it is still better than the pre-sequel.
The pre-sequel was just
The pre-sequel, the problems that I hear about the pre-sequel is that the dialogue is too drawn out, and that can grind on anyone's nerves.
Yeah.
You need to keep things small and simple, and that's what Borderlands 2 did, because it didn't want to waste your time. It's like, hey, you want to go out there, you want to go shoot stuff? All right, we won't waste your time with long dialogue boxes. But then, like, with the Tiny Tina DLC, it just kind of, the writing kind of made a good jump, I think.
Yeah.
Although I think that had to do with probably the fact that the writers loved D&D and they knew all the jokes to make about it.
yeah. I think that's where it comes from.
It brings up one thing I actually did read.
What is that?
That the creators from Borderlands 2, they and the pre-sequel, they actually say they wish they'd made them talk more.
Who?
It was an interview from one of the guys behind the game, one of the lead creators.
You don't think it was
Oh,
Randy
creators.
Pitchford, do you?
No,
wish
he's
could
not.
have
He's the CEO of the company, not a creator.
Okay.
But okay, yeah, the creators.
I'm not
because
sure who the
it sounded
creator
like You
is.
said, it sounded like you said Kratos. I was like, wait, Kratos is in this game?
If they look old enough, maybe we'll make
enough. They must talk more. I shall wage war against the CEOs and rip their head out from their spine.
But anyway, yeah, Borderlands
I don't
Borderlands
Go ahead.
pre-sequel is it was far worse in its storytelling. The only thing I liked about it is that you got an insight of what Jack was before Borderlands 2, but it's not what I expected about it.
Was that worth it?
No.
No.
To be honest, I kind of wish they'd left it a mystery.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you kind of want to know it, but you know you shouldn't know it.
It's kind of like the Batman thing, comparing the old Batman versus Joker versus the newest Batman versus Joker.
Yeah.
The one you know the backstory on is the worst character there.
Yeah. It's overall, like, pre-sequel, at times it had some good innovation. They put a new gun in there, they put it in more of a vacuum of space, you had some new moves that you did, but it wasn't enough to change the gameplay enough.
The new mechanics they added, they were nice, but
Not enough to change it.
they didn't really, make it stand out.
Yeah. And it's really not worth, like, the price they gave it on launch. It was
It should have been like a $30 kind of standalone
budget title.
expansion
Yeah, a
type.
budget title. So,
It should never have been a full retail release.
yeah. That being said, when it comes to Borderlands, Tales from the Borderlands had its second episode come out, and it was fantastic. It was just flat out fantastic, and it still is fantastic. But that's more because Telltale Games has done a really good job. I do wish, though, that they upgrade that type of system, though.
They need to rebuild the game engine.
Yeah,
I still need to play
I
I
won't.
still need to play through the second episode.
Yeah, I won't reveal too much into it. You leave off where you left off in the first episode. That's pretty much where it goes from there. But
Which I'm gonna be honest. That has me more intrigued than like whatever DLC Borderlands 2 came out with.
well, here's the
Way
thing.
more.
I'm gonna mention this. You're gonna need to know the storyline a bit from the pre-sequel to know a little bit of what happens in the second episode. Because one of the characters from pre-sequel is in the second episode
All right,
and is a major character.
All right.
So I will let you, like, because I know I have the Let's Play up. If you want to watch that, you can watch it on my channel, Meta, so that way you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. But at least towards that particular character. But I'll leave you with that because I don't want to spoil anything with the second episode.
All
But
right. But to
that-
talk about things that I have been actually playing, I finally beat Far Cry 3.
What'd
nice.
you think?
Yep, I beat Far Cry 3. It's completely done.
Yeah.
I've finally beaten fucking what was his name, Hector?
I don't know. I haven't played it yet.
Wait, for Voss? No, wait, no,
Voss.
wait.
It's
No,
Voss. No,
Wait.
not Voss. No, it's not.
Far
Voss.
Cry 3, final guy.
Yeah, is it Hector sounds right.
Yeah, because like it's the guy that I think Voss was working for.
Yeah, it was.
Oh no, he wasn't working for him. He was Voss was
Voss
fighting against him.
Voss. They had some connection though, and it wasn't,
Anyway,
opposing
my po-
sides.
My point is, Far Cry 3, I freaking love the game, but I wish it ran better on my system. I mean, I got a 4 gigahertz, 8 core system with a 6790 Radeon HD graphics card.
Oh,
And-
it's probably just the graphics card then that held you back.
That
Like,
might be it.
I can't even say that much because, like, I don't know. I guess there's just a part of me that thinks that the game's not properly optimized to run.
I
I
heard-
me, and I hit running on 7970s.
Yeah.
All right, so
I heard
maybe
that that Far Cry 3 when it first came out was a very heavily graphical type game where you need a really good graphics card.
And then the What would you say? This was 600, 6,000.
Yeah, it was 6790
Yeah, that.
series. The 67 series.
See, how old is that generation of code?
I have no clue.
Neither do I.
I've had this card for about maybe 3 years. Probably 3 years. I'm pretty sure more than 4. Because it was in my older system.
Probably the case right there.
Yeah, it might be like they sell those for longer than they should be selling them. So that actually might be like 10-year-old tech.
Yeah.
It's like cost 200 when I bought it, so like I don't know, you're probably right, but it has served me as long as it had. Maybe
Yeah,
if
it
I
served
just
you
get
well.
Better than what was in the consoles, and as long as you beat the consoles, you're good for quite a while.
Yeah. It's as long as you were able to play the game. Honestly, you don't have to worry about graphics. Graphics are one thing. It's nice to see really pretty
Well,
textures.
Yeah, I never had any problems. It never chugged for me,
Exactly.
except for like it was around like the problem was I was trying to get it to 60 FPS and it was driving me nuts. All I could get it around was 30 FPS, and that's about it.
Yeah.
That game is just. I can't believe it. That game was actually really good. It surprised me.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like Skyrim or like Fallout 3 where I got really, really bored with the game going about like God knows how many hours into it. And then I was just like, you know what? Fuck this. I don't have to play
Well,
this.
here's the difference between what you just said is because first off, well, obviously different makers. You have Ubisoft who made Far Cry 3, and in the games you mentioned are both made by Bethesda, which is more known to make games that are more open world.
Well, Obsidian and makes.
Yeah, there's that too. I mean, those type of games are meant to be played more to the customized variant of themselves. Like,
They're not meant to be beaten anyway. They're more to give you an experience.
yeah, and that's the whole difference between what you mentioned. It's a different gameplay. Yes, the story isn't as strong in like Far Cry. Not Far Cry 3,
I
but
would
Fallout.
argue against that.
I was gonna say Fallout 3. That was my mistake. And Skyrim. The story is a little bit more weaker, but they are more drawn out for that reason.
I think in Far Cry 3, I actually did enjoy a lot of what you were doing. Although, I think TB coined the term tower climbing simulator.
Oh, but that's kind of just a joke about Ubisoft in general.
Yeah, because like
Every major release Ubisoft has done in like the past 6-7 years has all had forced towers.
oh,
I think he died. Technical difficulties.
technical difficulties. Kodus.
But I kind of see his point. Like I've noticed like the tower climbing thing. I've seen that a lot in like
He's back.
Oh, welcome back, Keo. You kind of died for a moment.
And you
Yeah.
died for a moment too. So
That was on your end because me and Meta were fine.
All right. Hold on. All right, Keo, repeat what you just said
Yeah.
about the tower climbing thing.
every game that they've made has had climbing in it. Even the Crew had the towers in it. The Crew fucking had the tower climbing in it. You had to
The Crew
drive
was-
around the towers.
Wasn't-
Basically, the same amount of distance you had to climb the things.
Wasn't Crew like a racing game?
Yeah.
It was the MMO racing game.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I kind of see his point because I don't know. It's maybe just because that's part of the gameplay for at least Assassin's Creed. If that's why they decided to put like tower climbs in games nowadays.
I mean, I understand the need for the tower climb in Far Cry 3. I mean, it helps you
I
reveal
think
more of the map.
That it's what Ubisoft does now. You
Yeah.
climb towers. That is what Ubisoft is.
Yeah.
It's a ton of aliasing and climbing shit.
Yeah, and that's kind of the one thing is like even in Assassin's Creed, I always thought that was the tedious thing to do was climb up a fucking tower just so you can mark it. You know, I was like, okay, do I really need to do this when I've already climbed another tower and seen what the entire city has to unfold? You know,
Actually, I did.
They've got a bit better. The more recent ones will unveil parts of the map as you go through it.
yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about the earlier ones. They were just like, really, they're so close to each other. Why? You
The
know,
earlier ones are just because that's
it was a mechanic that they put in there, and I'm not discrediting the game for it. I just like thought it was like the most tedious thing to have at that point. And I guess it took me out of what,
kind of introducing the whole,
yeah,
climbing mechanics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it was introducing it. And I agree with that. I just didn't like it. It was like, okay, you could teach me in a better way than having this super ass high tower that I have to climb. You
You know what? It's like, well, no. I think the problem isn't that they have you climb the tower. I think the problem is they have you climb a tower over 20 times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And 20 different towers.
yeah, that's
they
what I
should
call
let
tedious.
those have maybe 2, 3 per city, not 10.
Yeah, and that's what I call tedious about them, is that they're all over the place, and you don't really need them. I mean, I understand that's part of the gameplay and it's part of the core gameplay, but you don't need that many, ever.
Regardless, I still think it was a absolutely thrilling game. I mean, I don't know. I did notice the bits of dubstep, but even then, it wasn't annoying dubstep. It was like, yeah, you know what? This is freaking intense. I
Well,
could potentially be spotted and I could die.
Well, when it comes to dubstep now, I think dubstep's gotten away from what it was before, to where it's
Like-
almost melody, kind of, in a weird way. It's starting to get much better than it was before.
To understand how I played the game, I pretty much played the game where I would, depending on the situation, I would usually sit at a distance, pull out my sniper rifle, the M500 Predator, and just snipe away at them from far away.
I played most of my games by just sniping people if it's a first-person shooter and I have a sniper. It's the most fun thing to do. That's why Sniper Elite was so good.
Did you do any? How much of the DLC for Far Cry 3 did you play through?
Oh, I don't think I played through the DLC.
I only ever had like the first one where you had to run through a couple facilities. It's basically a running time attack type thing. One of the facilities, do you care if I say?
I don't care.
One of the facilities you run through is owned by Abstergo,
And who is that?
the Templar company from Assassin's Creed.
Oh,
Kind of the entire Assassin's Creed storyline.
really?
Yeah, they're putting Abstergo into everything.
Yeah,
now.
that's not good.
Oh my god, they're trying to converge all the continuities together.
Well, no, to me, it's like what they're trying to do is what Valve did with Portal and Half-Life.
To be honest, though, I kind of like it.
Oh,
I understand that.
yeah, I like it too. It's like a little homage to it, but really, was it needed? No.
I like it. I like that type of thing. It's
Yeah.
like you have a bunch of games. Try to converge your continuities together if you can. I mean, that would
Yeah.
be really cool if
It's a cool idea.
Jason Brody met up with one of the Templar with the Ezio, I think his name was.
Well, it'd have to be. Actually,
It can't be that other guy because it can't be actually the common. I'm trying to think like the modern day Ezio because he's fucking dead.
Desmond?
Desmond!
Dead.
Yeah, Desmond's dead because he's in Assassin's Creed 4. He's
So,
fucking dead.
well, didn't he die in 3?
Yeah, he
died in
died.
3.
Yeah, so you're thinking of the Assassin's Creed 4 character, which I don't
Well,
remember
it-
his name.
With the Assassin's Creed 4, you're not playing an assassin, nor are you playing a Templar. You're playing the
guy that just happens to be there.
You're just playing an employee who gets caught up in this a bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's weird. Like
You do
Assassin's
need
Creed
to
4 was probably the
find
best of the
it,
stories.
So, like all the hacked data and all that you drop off, you're dropping off to that one girl and the guy, and those are the guys that they were training Desmond in the previous like 4 or 5 games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's crazy.
I don't mind the idea of combining like storylines with other franchises, but I'm almost getting to the point where it's feeling it's overused anymore.
I don't
Well,
think it's
actually,
overused.
I can't think of any outside of Portal and
Well,
half.
I mean like more in the crossover area. There's so many crossovers in terms of games nowadays where it's kind of gotten
Gone Home. Gone Home is supposed to take place. It's supposed to. I think Gone Home actually has some cross reference stuff going on with Bioshock.
Yeah, there's stuff like that.
It's a video game in particular.
Yeah.
I don't know. At least I haven't noticed.
Well, it's not just that. You also have, and this is more. I think you pointed this out to me a few years back. Metro 2033 had a reference to Half-Life, and I'm seeing too many of these references pop up in other games. I mean,
Well, that might just been kind of a passing because it's all the Metro stuff is based on a book series.
yeah, I mean, it could be just an intentional reference and not have any continuity to it.
That was just a reference done by the.
Yeah, but I'm talking about more or less. I'm seeing it too often anymore. It used to be like a cool Easter egg to find if there was one or two.
Skyrim with Portal 2.
Yeah.
The Space Core landed on Skyrim.
That was the first thing though from the Steam Workshop though.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That wasn't actually in the game.
That wasn't in the game. And I think they were just making fun of like a possible random RNG thing that happens in the game where a meteor might crash down.
Minecraft pickaxe though.
Huh?
The Minecraft
Yeah.
pickaxe that's in Skyrim.
I mean, it's fine to have references, but when you overbear the game with so many references, it starts getting like cluttered.
I will say that.
Well, I'm talking. There's a lot of games that do that.
About the references, and I mean that was one mission, and you had to have the DLC to even see it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind like, okay, for instance, Borderlands can pull it off because that game's intentionally to be played like a parody. It can pull it off. Same thing with Duke Nukem, or any of the Duke Nukem games outside of the first two.
I wonder if Ubisoft wants to set Abstergo has kind of like an evil corporation across multiple franchises.
Yeah, I just don't. I like the idea behind it, but I don't know how it's gonna be taken. Like,
To be honest,
what's the next one that they
want
put it in?
more stuff first, but
Well, what's the next franchise they put it in outside of Far Cry? You'd think immediately like Splinter Cell.
but Splinter Cell, I think they have to leave the stuff that's based on books alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
Because all the Tom Clancy stuff is all book related.
true. But I mean, this is made by Ubisoft. They have creative control sometimes too. And when I look at like Far Cry 3, and
With Tom Clancy.
well, yes, but I'm talking about like they're gonna have some creative control to put their own idea to it, whether it be DLC or not. But when it comes to like DLC that you just mentioned about Assassin's Creed coming into Far Cry, it could have been done without that. It could have been done just as good without having that, is what I'm saying. It doesn't need to have it. Because I think a game franchise should stand on its own merits. It shouldn't have to have anything. The reason I kind of let go...
This wasn't even them standing on each other's feet or anything.
I'm just saying that Assassin's Creed should not be going to every single franchise that Ubisoft makes. I just don't see the point of that. I mean, it's a good idea on paper, but I don't think it's going to be well executed. I think the only reason why it's worked well with Valve is because Portal was part of the idea of a competition between Aperture and Black Mesa. It worked. It's just two different storylines going in the same universe.
You know, I wonder if Half-Life 3 will have Shell pop up at some point, and then Shell has to.
Where they cross paths?
Yeah, Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
You're asking Gaben to pull out Half-Life 3 when we know he'll never bring out a third game to any franchise?
Because there are so many games that have already pushed the bar already.
Yeah.
To be honest, Valve really.
I don't
can't
want them.
make
I don't
games.
want them to push the bar. I want them to finish their story.
Yeah, I agree. As I just don't want to see like Ubisoft decide to make that's the greatest idea we have ever. Just put Assassin's Creed in every single franchise.
Well,
It's not
Assassin's
needed.
Creed. It's Abstergo.
I don't care. It's part of the Assassin's Creed universe. That's where it came from first.
The movie studio. They created a movie studio.
But it
And
came
they
from
made it
Assassin's
up
Creed
Abstergo.
first, is what I'm getting at. It came
All
from
right,
that
well,
franchise first. It shouldn't
all
have
right.
to go on every other franchise. As a
I think it's fine. I think all this is fine. Although there's one thing I want to talk about with Far Cry 3
go for it.
that I think a lot of stealth games, Payday 2, should take note of. Was that subtle enough for you?
I don't know if anybody heard it, but if it wasn't subtle enough for you, and you may not have heard how Meta said it, I think he said Payday 2.
Oh, well, now you reveal it. It's not subtle.
Exactly.
Anyway,
But you didn't say it very
Anyway.
clearly.
Anyway, I like Far Cry 3's stealth.
Yeah.
Because the foliage actually adds to your stealth. You know, stuff that Payday 2 should be taking note of. Why can't the foliage in the train heist add to your stealth? I you know what? I just don't understand.
It's the big mask you're wearing. It's just
Yeah.
too visible.
That's the only thing I can think of. It's got to be the fucking mask that's fucking you over.
I would believe that. I would believe that. Except that you wear the mask while you're wearing this mask and you're going through a museum and you're trying to steal all this art. You know what level I'm talking about.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
going through the museum trying to steal all this art. You're trying to like scope it out, see all the guards, kill only the total of 4 that you're supposed to kill. And for some reason, these guards don't on the highest difficulty, these guards don't manage to see your gigantic mask behind a small vase. Could
Yeah.
someone explain this to me?
I don't know.
I don't.
The stealth system in Payday has gotten worse over time. Like when it first came out, there was a point where you could take
Even
out
when it
8
first
people.
came out,
Well, when it
Even-
first, well, no,
No,
let me
no.
explain. Let me explain. And when the stealth system for the original Payday 2, when it came out, was so much better than it was now. Like what they did was they kind of took an idea of stealth and they worked upon it, and it made it work. It was much better done than it was in Payday the Heist. The Payday the Heist felt like you had to go loud no matter what. It didn't matter what you did. Something happens and immediately trips an alarm. You can't stop it. Now you have to do it.
1-2 missions that even had stealth as
Yeah.
an option.
So
possible.
yeah, it was something like that. So they really focused heavily on the stealth in Payday 2, and a lot of missions required you to do it stealth to get more money out of it. And then we get the Death Wish update, which pretty much killed what stealth was before it. It changed up some of the abilities, it took away some of the abilities that we
I
had.
would argue even that, because even before the updates, I still think Payday 2's stealth was flawed.
Oh,
There
yeah.
were a lot of flaws with it, and even with you could kill up to 8 people. You could kill up to 8 officers.
Yeah.
I think that was all just a part of a glitch. You couldn't kill 8 officers before, but you could if you do this glitch. And if you with the if you played it normally, you'd still have to kill 4 guards.
Well, technically what they did was they wanted the players to play more like professional heisters where you didn't kill at all. That's
Dude,
why they
professional-
did it.
Dude, professional heisters exploit a glitch within their own game, which allows them to collect 4 key cards out of the 1 card laying there.
Yeah,
No.
it was
It's-
weird.
It was fucking... Yeah, it's weird. It's like they want you to play within the limits of the game. I get that. But they also want you to kind of exploit it, and they don't mind if you do.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And
because you're a criminal.
yeah, and let me go on to another point. Like, I got kind of fed up with the new type of engine because if you played Payday 2 when it came out at launch, you got used to that stealth system. You got used to it so well that you knew how to get around it, and you could still play professionally with it. You knew how to do it. It took you a while, it took you patience, but you knew how to do it, and it was so simplistic about it. However, when they changed it, all the players that had played it were just kind of going, "What the fuck? Why'd you do this? This is no longer stealthable on these older maps because they weren't designed to take those ones." Specifically, I talk about the train heist, like you mentioned, that you can't hide. Well, it's not just that. There are way too many fucking guards.
There are a lot of guards there that have no right to see you from the distances that they're seeing you
Yeah.
from.
And,
That is fucking
well, it's not just
insane.
guards. They also had some of these civilians that can do the same thing. It was almost, it's pretty much impossible to do it with 2 or 3 people. You need a 4-man crew.
What did Kyo say?
You needed to be able to deal with the 8 guards. You can't have guards running around on that map
Yeah.
at all. You get caught instantly.
And this is just to prove my point. They recently changed the achievement around. It used to be that you had to collect 40 bags of ammo along with the main item, which was a turret that was referencing TF2, to get the special achievement. And then they changed it to 20 because they realized it's fucking impossible now because of the new stealth update. It really fucked over a lot of old maps. Now, since then, they have made better maps for stealth that uses the new stealth system very well.
They also give you more options in those maps. Like
Exactly.
recently they started applying pre-planning to the museum one.
Well, it's not just that, but you'll take the first example of one of the better heists with this new stealth system, and I go with Shadow Raid. It is very well done. You have a lot of cover, so no one can just straight up see you, and if they do, they're seeing you through a window of anything. And you can take your time and be patient with it. It does work with the new stealth system. There may be a ton of guards, but they're spread out. They're not fucking all over the place inside that one warehouse.
Added guards, that don't have pagers and all that.
That too. They made it easier to really learn the stealth system, and that is probably one of the best new stealth maps out there. Now, since they've also had some other ones as well, and most recently they added a new heist today that uses the same stealth system.
I seem to recall
that's the car heist.
I seem to recall the murky water guards do have pagers on them.
Well, not Shadow Raid. It's a different map. I forget which one.
Was it Big Oil or?
No. It's new.
Oh. Something from the butcher?
Prior to the butcher.
Oh, maybe something from the dentist?
I think it's one of the dentist missions.
It might have been the Big Bank one. I'm not sure. It's either that or the Diamond Heist you might be thinking about.
It could be one of the two.
Yeah.
Because I haven't played Diamond Heist yet, but I have the DLC. But the Big Bank one, that one is infuriating.
Yeah. The Big Bank was, to me, the way I look at the Big Bank is like it's a slight reference to the First World Bank from the first game because of how big it is and how complex it was in that first game. But that one was done loud, and it's almost like it's telling you should take this on loud and not stealth.
Some of those achievements for that one were really annoying.
And a lot of them are random. They're basically RNG. They're random number generated.
Dropping the pig and killing, 4 guards?
Or something
It's
like
not
that.
RNG. It's just that it's very specific about what you need to do. It's not RNG.
Well,
It's not
no,
random
there is
number
RNG
generated.
achievements in
You
there. Like
wear-
there
you
is.
wear- You have to wear a certain mask and wield a certain weapon in order to get them.
Well, there's that, yes, but I'm talking about there's one RNG moment where you have to find that guy from the video when they promoted it.
I still haven't done that one.
Yeah, not only that, there's also the shipyard one that they recently brought out that has a meth lab on a ship, and that's RNG because you never know if you're gonna get it or not. It's stuff like that, Some of it is just random,
Man crew missions, you know.
and that's
I
the
don't
other
play
thing.
with randoms, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, the other problem with this game, and it's mainly on the achievements, is the 4-player ones. You have to have a 4-man crew to get this achievement or that achievement. And some of the stuff that's locked behind it, which there are some masks, there are
weapon mods.
Yeah.
Stuff you need.
yeah
I need
stuff you
some
need.
of those items, but I can't get them.
Yeah, these things are annoying to deal with, and a lot of the times, me, Kyo, even Dread, we can't do them because we don't have a fourth member that might have that DLC. Or
And
we can't do
I
them
just-
because they don't have a mask, so which means we have to give them masks. And it's infuriating. It's really infuriating that we have to have a 4-man crew to do this achievement.
I think that pretty much sums up this game's like stealth and this game's like feel. It just, I don't know. It's probably just taste. I feel it's infuriating. I feel it could be a better heist game than it's letting on, because I guarantee you that if they come out with a Payday 3, one of the big things about it is that you're going to be able to hide it. You're going to be able to hide in foliage. And it's just like, you could have included that in Payday 2, you fucking assholes.
And
Don't make that a
hopefully,
selling
you know,
point in your game.
They won't screw over single player.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what the new stealth system did, is it killed that.
Over single player.
Yeah.
Single player was killed because of the new stealth system. And then they also changed around some of the maps. I specifically talk about Rats. Rats was changed from where you can grind off of it with the old stealth system, which you didn't really need to change anything about it. You go and destroy the meth lab and you get the fuck out. And you
But they
move
also
on.
made the meth lab kill everyone, so...
Well, they made that for Death Wish, which, I'm sorry, that kind of defeats the purpose of having that as an option.
yeah,
It does. It defeats the
You
purpose.
screw it up the first time, and you wanna... If you just happen to screw it up because you mishold him, you shouldn't get penalized like
Yeah.
that.
It is one of the most infuriating parts of Rats. I mean, I understood why they did it, because people grinded the ever-living fuck out of it. The experience you got was like over nearly 300,000 experience points, so you level up really fast, and it really wasn't expensive to get.
But now we have the Hoxton Breakout, and you can just walk out with 4 million.
Yeah, with 2 people. And the Hoxton Breakout is a lot easier. Of course, though, it did
It's the
get
new-
harder. Now, I say this is because they recently updated it, and they gave the enemy a fucking turret.
Oh, god, that thing just didn't die.
Oh. This is one where they have to do some balancing with it.
They need to make it weaker.
Yeah.
It needs to die faster.
Yeah, it is so hard.
3 rockets and it didn't die.
Yeah.
Either it dies faster or they can't have any other enemies out on the map while it's out.
And that's the sad thing they do. And here's the thing. I have a mod that is considered to be cheating. This is the only way we could take those turrets down, because if you're trying to do, let's say, a Death Wish mission that happens to be in Hoxton Breakout Day 1, when these turrets are out, and some of these armored trucks spawn 2 at a time. If you don't have enough rockets to take them down, and I guarantee you won't, then you can't beat the game, because they hit you like a Mack truck. They are going to slice through you. Even with the best armor in the game, they just slice through you.
Yeah, it's like the bulldozer. The Skulldozer.
But they're worse than the Skulldozer, because at least the Skulldozer is somewhat killable. Like, these things, they took, what, 6 rockets from you and Dread when we first tried them out?
And all of mine and Dread's grenades.
Exactly. And this
It's
is on
a
top
wall.
of me laying in hundreds upon hundreds of bullets hitting the damn thing.
I think another thing that would help the game out is if they would allow you to swap weapons. Like, pick up weapons that are just lying around and use them to your advantage.
Yeah, that's a good example of a good idea. But I'm talking about just alone. These turrets are so overly powerful that they shouldn't even exist yet. They should have took the time to balance them out. I like
Well,
them because they bring out a new challenge to the game. That's
I
fine.
mean, that release video on those was such a dicko. It's, yeah, these are healed now. We'll let you figure out how to take them out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hate using a cheat just to get us through a map. Unless I'm going for achievements just to unlock, like, let's say, mods that we might need that might be useful for us. I only do it for that. Otherwise, I really don't care about the achievements otherwise. It just doesn't bother me, and most of them are fairly easy to do. When you get to a point where the enemy is so much more powerful than you, and you can't do anything about it, what else are you going to do? If you want to beat that mission, you have one of two options. One, you can quit, and most people tend to do on this game. Or two, you're going to cheat.
I'm still kind of surprised this game has such a large fan base still.
And I'm still surprised that a lot of people say this game's getting better with all these harder things to throw in there. I understand challenge, but then there's a sense of challenge, and then there's a sense of overpowered to the point where you can't figure out what to do. And that's where it's come to.
Turret, so I would not know.
Well, I'll show it to you one day, man. You're gonna wonder, like, what the fuck?
Anyway, although I just wanted to make a point about, like, the stealth, because that's what's bothered me the most about this game. I know Payday 2 can be so much better than the stealth, and that's what the game should be about. It should be about stealthily doing some heists and then loudly doing others. And if the stealth portion of it is not as good as it can be, then it's disappointing to me.
Yeah.
It upsets me that it's not as good as other games have made it to be. Hell, I can't believe they haven't done anything about it this soon.
Yeah.
They could really work on that.
Honestly, I wish they do go back a little bit to the old stealth system by letting us have a little bit more options so we can actually play the old ways a little bit more legit. Like the old maps that still have those problems of too many guards are around. I mean, we should have that luxury. It's also based on the wording of some of these abilities, like, for instance, the pager thing.
Weren't you just talking about how you thought the enemies were and the situations were ridiculously hard, and then you just went on to say, "Hey, I don't mind having the 8 guards back because."
Well, no. You misheard. You're taking the words out, like, and replacing them. I'm saying, like, I want the old system back where I could have, like, old maps done right. The old maps should have the original stealth system because they're so broken with the new one. It doesn't help it. It makes them harder to even get through. For instance, Framing Frame, the third day has 5 guards, and sometimes they even respawn with more.
Oh no, they didn't used to respawn at all.
Yeah, but I don't mind. See, here's the thing. I don't mind if it respawns them, but I'd like to have the ability to be able to not worry about having to have a limited of 4 people. Take out 4 pages, and that's it. Okay.
I think we're back.
I think we are. Okay, he's
there.
Back.
We go.
I'd like to have the ability to do up to 8. Just up to 8, because some of these missions, even some of the newer ones, have so many guards, it's almost more difficult to do it stealth, which that's the idea I get, but it's so almost impossible levels of it.
Okay.
I kind of wish they do like the pager call per person, not group.
Yeah, I agree. That's the way they should have worded it instead of the way they did word it.
I think it's more they should have programmed it like that, where, like, per person can answer up to 4 different pagers.
Yeah,
and, like, that'd be it.
Yeah,
there you go. You can work with that.
Fix almost all the issues too.
Yeah, that's all they have to do. Is that would take care of all the old ones, and it would still leave room for the newer ones. They didn't do that, so they made it more difficult. But I also understand why they did it to where they're forcing, almost encouraging you not to kill. I like that. because it does make you feel like you're more of a professional. You shouldn't have to kill to move on.
Actually, I just realized something. Do you think that in trying to solve all these multiple problems with the stealth system at once, you think they might have overdone it, actually?
Probably. I think they tried to perfect it to a point where they cannot do it.
Because that's what it feels like. Because with the they thought, okay, well, there's something wrong with like the guards. The guards are let's say framing frame per day, for instance.
Yeah.
Okay, there should only be four to five guards at any one time. How many can they answer? The group can answer up to 4. Yeah, but there are multiple guards. Wouldn't it be easier to just have them answer like each of them be able to answer up to 4? And it's just like, I feel like they may have tried to troubleshoot it too hard. And in the process, they actually ended up neutering some parts of the, they ended up defeating some of the parts of the stealth that would have been really cool, but ended up being like...
Basically, what you're saying, they
effective.
defeated the purpose of what it should have been. Like, they made the purpose of making it difficult, but at the same time, they defeated that purpose. Like, they made it so difficult that it's almost
more centered
borderline
around
impossible.
Around the pagers, mostly.
Yeah.
Because, like, they fixed the stealth, but then they made it so that you only answer less pagers.
Yeah.
They made it per group instead of per person.
Yeah. And that's where it got difficult for the older ones. Now, the newer ones, like Shadow Raid, I go back to that. They're spaced out into enough to where you only could need probably 4. Like
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Kyo. You can only need 4 guards to really worry about, and you can still get enough of the bags out and do it very well. Because it's all about patience then. The new stealth system works with all the newer stealth maps. But the thing is, though, and this is more to the point that Kyo doesn't like the game, is that since they put the new stealth system in, there have not been a whole lot of the new stealth maps. There have been a ton of loud missions.
Yeah. The game almost entirely focused on the loud missions now.
Yeah, it's gone to its old roots, and there lies the fact that they don't really care about the stealth anymore. I think they've...
I like playing stealthily.
Well, hell, you go to one of the newer heists, which I actually happen to like this heist because it's kind of cool and innovative that they decided to make it, which is the newest one called the car heist, the car shop heist.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
I'm
I'm infuriated at the driving mechanic. It's just too wibbly-wobbly, but...
But yeah, for what this game was meant to do, it's not bad. It could just use some little bit more polish. But I digress with the car driving part. It's more or less, you have to go in stealth, because if you don't, you're not going to have enough time to take the car to where you needed to go to steal it. So it's basically forcing you to do the same thing what Shadow Raid did. It's basically, you have to go stealth, hit a certain point of that stealth, and then go loud, because then you have enough time. So it's kind of nice to see that they are working on this idea of stealth and combining it with loud missions. But I also would like them to tone it down on these loud missions, because there's way too many of them now. They far overshadow what the game was supposed to be designed for. So, anyways, I think we've talked enough about Payday 2. I think we've talked enough about stealth.
Something completely different from Payday 2. Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires.
How is it?
I played Dynasty Warriors for a long time now, and I am so super satisfied with this. I do feel like there are a lot of things they could fix with the Empires bit of it. I feel like there's a lot they could add to it. I feel there could be way more interactions between different enemy officers with you, because a lot of things you can do, Like, you can slander others, you can interact with others, you can bribe your way up to the top. You can, other officers won't do that. Like, it feels like you're the only one who's capable of doing all the stuff that you're doing. None of the other officers can do that. No officer can slander you and bump you down in ranks. And appropriately, you don't get to control armies when you're a lieutenant or an officer. You only get to do that when you're a prefect and you're the one running the battle, or a marshal, or a strategist, or a ruler. Rulers, if you're in the battle and you're a ruler, you get complete control over that battle. The other thing I also don't like is that Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires, they allowed you to set up where certain officers would go on your side. In this one, they don't allow you to do that, which kind of sucks. I'm hoping they bring that back because that would make it better. Although, when you do get into the game, you could individually order every single officer to do different things. Defend a base, capture a base, attack a certain unit, attack certain unit captain, defend against a unit captain, capture, pretty much that. Although I also wish you had control over what strategies those individual officers use, but instead the officers are left to delegate what strategies they use. There are different types of these little cards you're given, which are called stratagems, and depending on how big the strategy is, like, let's say, set the entire battlefield on fire, or rain thunderstorms across the battlefield, it'll require up to three different officers to retreat and then wait a certain amount of time. And it depends on, you can't let a certain base be captured, and you can't let the officer who initiated the stratagem be defeated. And so when you wait the approximate amount of time, the strategy triggers and it turns the battle in your favor. I think there could be a lot of complexity to this type of game. And if that weren't enough, you could create your own character. You could create your own officer. You don't have to play the officers they give you. And there's a ton of weapons you can use with each and every single one of these different officers. I think this game is starting to slowly evolve into a spectacle hack and slasher, because that's what it feels like. And
But isn't that what Dynasty Warriors has always been?
I guess so. Yeah, you could say that, although Dynasty Warriors 5 had less. Anything before Dynasty Warriors 7 had less of the spectacle part to it. I think Dynasty Warriors 7 was when they started to embrace, like, the idea of, holy shit, you can cleave through dozens of soldiers and use magical attacks while doing so. And I just want to comment on the customization real quick, because you can customize your own officer. Okay, that's great. You can customize. They don't have a lot of customization options, but what they do give you control of, they give you control over the face. They give you control over the body. They give you control over the eyes, the nose, the mouth. I didn't even think you needed control over the face, the mouth, over the different individual features of your face, but they give it to you. And, like, they also let you pick from whatever selected armor they have. I wish they would expand on that, but other than that, like, it really isn't a problem with me, because I can just create. I think I can just create like 10 officers and then that'll be good. But the bigger thing I noticed was that they didn't just have 10 customization slots. They didn't just have 50. I want you to take a guess how many slots they had.
100.
Even more.
1,000.
Less than that. You're close.
Me or him?
You, Knight.
So it's less than 1,000. Is it 500?
More than that.
700?
850.
850.
Split up into groups of 50. And there's about 17 groups. 50 times 17, that's about 850.
Bad.
I would not even reach 20. But the option's there. You can create as many officers as you want. And every single one of them will, depending on what settings you set up for your empire scenario, they will pop up either as a famous, as a common, or just have their own vagabond unit. And when you complete the game with an officer, depending on the titles they have, depending on their way of life by the end of the game, every single officer, including the famous ones, have their individual way of life, which determines how they play. By end of the game, you determine that custom officer's way of life. And whenever you go to play another Empire's game again as a different officer, that customized officer will try to play in the same exact way that you played when you last played as them. They'll try to play towards that certain way of life. So, example, unrecognized genius, which means your officer will be a free officer, but will be a strategic monster of a person. They will be free officer for about 5 years, and then after those 5 years, they'll be picked up and put into the position of a strategist for another army. And it's freaking, it is just, I don't know. I guess I just find it really fascinating that the amount of variety in this game, in this simple game about just hacking and slashing people. I think.
How much of the DLC have you bought?
I have only bought one, because the only one I bought was the extra face accessories, because I thought there would be more to it, but there wasn't really a lot for me to choose from.
There was $130 worth of DLC, and it's all cosmetic.
One of it is cosmetic. The other bits are like wallpapers, I think.
No, I gave face hail, equipment, costumes.
Oh, the costumes. I don't count those. I don't count the costumes. The costumes are just for like the famous officers. That doesn't count. I ignore that, but yes, you are right. Those are way too expensive.
Original costume pack, $22.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
I only bought. That's why I only bought the one DLC with the edit parts.
Exactly.
Oh, there is an equipment pack. Oh shit! Well, now I've got to buy it. Oh my god! I actually got to see this now. Holy shit! I didn't notice.
How much is it gonna cost you?
It's $12.
It's $12. But you know what? I'll look at it. You know what? I've been looking for more. I've been looking for more to add, and these look okay. Actually, these do not look too bad. Actually, some of these even make you look like an actual officer. Although the one thing that disappoints me the most about the customization on the women's end is that they don't give you enough pants. And I don't mean like customizable pants. I mean like most of the pants look like fucking skirts and gowns.
Dynasty Warriors have always been a tad sexist, though.
It's kind of the thing.
I guess, but like they also make these ladies super powerful and give them like spears and
that's why it's not
Trish
sexist.
and like all this other stuff. But like seriously, I only found out of all the wearable pants you can wear is that one of them actually looked like pants, and that kind of upset me. But I would kind of want to buy this.
Well, considering it's China, I think I'll take a Japanese kimono.
I guess. No,
Okay.
actually, you know what? Oh, there's a. Oh, I was actually trying to find out if they actually released more music for this
Okay.
because I like the stuff from Dynasty Warriors 7. That stuff was really good. I
Okay.
think honestly to me, the highest I played a lot of Dynasty Warriors games. The highest point of their acting was in Dynasty Warriors 7. But even then it's not that good. I think the music did something different. I think it was the music that helped make it better. I'm pretty damn sure of that. But trust me, it was way better. Just the way the cutscenes rolled out just seemed to work a lot better. I just wish the voice acting was fucking. That's what I meant to say. I meant to say the story was better, not the voice acting. The voice acting still sucks. Voice acting still could use a lot of work. Because fucking American voice actors, they'll fucking phone in because
Yeah, they
it's just
don't.
a game about because it's just a game about slashing people. That's what they assume, and it's just like, well, then I'm not gonna try too hard with this.
Yeah, I mean, the best voice acting I've ever seen in any type of game that would because technically, like, I know sometimes that they take an RPG system and put it into Dynasty Warriors. I've seen it in other types of Dynasty Warrior type games. Most if you're gonna get a decent RPG from Japan, like a JRPG, like for instance Tales of Symphonia, the voice acting is so much more talented because they take the time to actually give you the emotion. They don't sound phoned in at all. And nowadays, voice acting doesn't get that anymore. They're not really great to listen to, so a lot of people just put it on mute and play whatever they want. You know, play music in the background. So if it's like, I don't know, a war game or even sports games are like that. It's so bad anymore. They don't take the time to make it appreciative. Which I hate to go back on this because I gotta mention this. The voice acting for DBZ Universe is so much better because they
Xenoverse
well,
or Universe.
it's DB Xenoverse, whichever you want to go with. It's DBZ. That's all it's taken from. It does go into GT with the special season pass, but that's not really part of the game. I'm talking about just the voice acting. I think they took most of the voice acting from the original set before they went to Kai, which was just a recut version of it. But like some of the Dragon Ball Z Kai voice actors aren't in it, which if you're a fan of the old way from the 90s when you watched Toonami and watched that version of it, you are going to not like Kai so much because they changed some of the voice acting around and they just sound weird for that character suddenly.
To be honest, at this point, when it comes to Dragon Ball Z, if it's not the Team 4 style at this point, the voice actor sounds weird to me.
You got a point there. I mean, I like the abridged one, but I still like the original cast. That's the thing. But going on Kyo's point, there is one of Team 4 Star's voice actors that is in Xenoverse.
Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
Yeah, and that is
I heard of
Takahata.
that.
And you can create your character using Taka's voice. And some of the parts, if you've watched Team 4 Star's Let's Play of Xenoverse, they gave not only their character Taka's voice, but they also, some of the NPCs also have Taka's voice. And one of the greets that the NPCs will give will just be Vegeta. And they never thought in the wildest dreams that they would leave that as a greet voice because they thought it was a joke. But some of the things you hear from Taka's voice in there, it sounds like he's going as Ghost Nappa's voice in the whole thing. It sounds really well done, and it's really out of place too at the same time.
I have to imagine at this point, in the Team 4 Star version of Dragon Ball Z, Nappa is like Deadpool. You just can't get rid of him. He just
Yeah.
keeps popping back up.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing is that they really went all out for Xenoverse, and I think a lot of people, and I've seen this a lot with the NPCs of actual people created characters, because they put them in for single player for some reason. That's where they put the online in for a reason. but you see people referencing like Ghost Nappa and Taka type characters and everything. It's
Right, NPCs, right?
well, they're NPCs if you're playing single player, but they're actually created by people. It's weird. They like you can see the normal NPCs of the game, and their text, the names are always highlighted in blue. But the people created content from the people that made a character, theirs are always in yellow, and you just see them all over the main hub. I don't know what's the purpose of putting them there outside of just to put them in the hub.
To make it feel more full.
Yeah, because it is just really empty without them.
Like, if you remove the people, those are really open areas.
Yeah, but it's I see a lot of like Ghost Snap, and then I see a lot of the people trying to emulate some of the main characters like Gohan and Goten. I mean, there are some people that are just not that creative, and then there are some people that are creative.
Although people sometimes just want to play named characters that
Yeah.
they know.
And I kind of like this game because it gives you a lot of modes. It's weird because they took like a piece out of each type of game. Like they took a bit out of an MMO by making it an online type of multiplayer game. They took a bit out of a fighter by putting a place where you can play offline and online mode where you can play any character you choose, including your custom made character, and take on other people or just NPCs. Or you could do. They took a thing out of Monster Hunter, and where you could do these what if missions that really have no impact onto the story, but they give you loot of either equips or powers, and can unlock masters for you and other designs of that character if you complete the quest. And then they have, of course, the main story. So it's got a lot of replay. But like I said, going back to what it was, the voice acting is done a whole lot better. I thought.
I hope so because Funimation has some really good voice actors.
Yeah, and it's very nice. They even did. We went with the GT. They got the GT voice actors too, and they did very well to get like the voice actor and typical voice actor Goku.
Right.
When he's in the Super Saiyan 4, he sounds like he's the Super Saiyan 4 version of him, where he's so fucking serious about it.
Right.
So yeah, voice acting is done very, very well and very high quality.
Just to contrast, I just want to point out something here.
Go for it.
While in Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends, the supposed complete edition, if you don't count all DLC they released afterwards, fucking liars. That game has English voice acting, but Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires, they have no English voice acting. But everything is translated. Everything's translated to English. They just have the Japanese voice acting. Although I do have some concerns with the English voice act, not the English translation. Let's take, for instance, during the game, you can activate a certain stratagem that will increase your defense. It's called armor. Very self-explanatory. You activate it, and it gives you extra armor. But what the game tells you is that your attack has increased significantly. Wait, what? But your character is glowing green because that resembles, the defense increase. So it's just like, what the fuck? There's something wrong here with the translation. And this is not the only time it pops up. It pops up multiple times throughout the game. Like one time where you're fighting against, when you're fighting in the middle of, let's say, you're fighting in this large crowd of enemies and you're in the enemy territory where you're not supposed to be and you're just fighting this losing battle. One guy will take you notice of your struggle, and like instead of it saying that officer has taken notice of your officer's struggle, the officer you control, instead it'll say, let's say for example your officer's name is Kira. That's the one you're controlling, and then the guy who takes notice of you is Sima Yi. Instead it'll say Kira takes notice of Sima Yi's struggle. There's something very wrong with the translation there. That's what happens when you get a fucking machine to do it. But I can't even say it was a machine because all of it they seem to have translated all the other characters' different voices into things that they would actually say and how they would say them. So I can't even say it was done by like a machine. It had to be done by a person.
So you're thinking it's like a poor translation of it, or are you saying it's
Not
just it's
completely
mild?
poor.
Are you saying it's like a
Not-
mild translation? Then are you?
There are very few translation error. There are a few translation errors that could have been translated better. Just a bunch of names being switched around where they're not supposed to be, and things being described in ways that they're not supposed to be. For example, the armor thing. The armor thing, it should say your defense has significantly increased, not your attack. Right?
I get that. Yeah, it might have been just a quick translation and they just didn't fix it in, or it's bugged a bit or something. I don't know.
I hope they end up fixing it soon because those problems are. They don't destroy your experience, but they do make you go, "What the fuck? What the hell are you talking about?"
Exactly. So, are you finished with talking about that so we can move on?
I don't know. I just really like Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires. I like the environment it presents. I like being able to take part in a feudal point of one country's history and just going nuts on all the soldiers that they give me.
Okay.
But that's pretty much me.
Okay.
These are the type of games I like.
And you shouldn't be like sad about that. You're proud to like that type of game. That is your type of game that you can enjoy.
I am disappointed in that the graphics that we got are not the same as the PS4 graphics.
I think that's typical mostly to newer games because they're still trying to figure it out.
Because Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends was pretty much just a straight port of the PS3.
Yeah.
And this is the same. This is like a straight port of the PS3. The PS4 and Xbox One version stayed on their consoles, which is fucking dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It completely defeats the point of making the PS4 developer friendly to be able to work on both and transfer the data between both.
True.
But that's it. I'm done. That's all I got to say.
All right. I think we talked good enough about the games we played, but what type of games are you guys looking forward to? Because I could start this off from my point, and I've already got it pre-ordered, and I'm looking forward to
Xenoverse. Xenoverse, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Can't wait to play it. I'm looking forward to the second episode of Tales of Borderlands. That's going to be interesting to take a look at.
Yeah. And I do recommend it because I have completed it, and I think Dread completed it too. Although he said he crashed in the middle of one of it. I don't know if he went back. But as for me, the game I'm looking forward to playing that's coming out, won't come out for another month, is Mortal Kombat X. The more and more I kind of read into it, the more and more I'm kind of like almost getting excited for it. And I'm hoping that it's not going to disappoint me. And based on the gameplay footage I've watched, some of the announcement they made, which this was more recent as of yesterday, they announced, they confirmed the characters of Jason Voorhees being a playable character, Predator from the Predator franchise of movies being a playable character, and then two classic combatants from previous Mortal Kombat games, which is Tanya and Tremor, who I don't know much about these two characters, I just know they were in games before. The gameplay looks so much more better than the previous one. It just looks more realistic in that's what Mortal Kombat should have been, is a realistic variant of a fighter. But it looks so much better in terms of its design. So I'm looking forward to that. I really am.
I'm looking forward to. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
I can't think of another game at the moment because The next game I can say that I'd be looking forward to doesn't come out till way late this year, and I haven't really seen anything about it yet.
I've got one. I'm looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 5. I know that's out on the consoles, but I can't wait for it on the PC. And we should get it on the PC because we all need to play it and
I'm thinking
about.
Well, see, I'm still thinking about pre-ordering it on PC still, but I already have it. And I think Keo has it too, technically.
Huh?
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, I have that.
But we have it on consoles. I have mine on the PS4 because I need another game for my PS4 that wasn't Destiny. So it was like, I'll play it on there, see what it's all about, and I'm enjoying it. Even on the consoles, it's really fun to play it on there. But I'm disappointed that it doesn't have cross-platform to the PC. I'm amazed it doesn't. It should.
If we could all get Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PC, that would be fantastic.
Then we can play the online like it was meant to be played and have a lot of fun. The blow off shit,
man.
that's the art. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that a little bit more because I haven't played it much, but a lot of the reason is I have no one to really play with in Grand Theft Auto 5 because, well, you two don't have a PS4. Dread's brother has a PS4, but Dread doesn't. And no one else in my friends has one except one of my close friends who just recently got it, and he has no interest in Grand Theft Auto at that point, though. So, but yeah, that is a game I'm certainly looking forward to.
What am I looking forward to? Really nothing else here. Although I do want to, actually, if I may talk about something not related to just games, just towards play, just towards like videos on YouTube. I am looking forward to tomorrow. The LCS. It's the second day of Week 8 for the LCS League Championship Series.
League of Legends.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how, mostly just how Coast is going to pride himself. Team Coast is going to pride themselves on the position they're in. Let me tell you about Team Coast because this is interesting. Because I took a look at which position the team was in the standings. 1 out of 14 games. One out of like 1 to 14 out of 15 games. They only won 1. They lost all 14. Holy shit. And this is supposed to be, I think this is supposed to be a new team. They're coming out of Challenger Series to compete. And I'm just like, what the fuck, guys?
Well,
Holy.
They're going to be failure. It's the same thing. You can go into sports and say a brand new team comes in, and they're going to have a really bad season because they're just coming in. They got a new coach. They got new players. They're just trying out something. And it doesn't work out the first time they go through it, but the next time they learn from that experience, they practice better, and they win more games next time. So I don't fault them for trying, at least. I mean,
Yeah, neither do I. I like it when new teams.
they're a huge underdog, is what I'm saying. They're the underdog story that you want them to win, but they're not quite there yet. They're not quite ready to learn to win yet on that type of level, but they're trying. And that shows how much heart they have.
The teams that it can't be are TSM and Team Solomid, Cloud9, and Counterlogic Gaming. But I do like Team Solomid because they're trying to do something new. Because they're trying to figure out, they know their early game and their late game is kind of good, but right now the big thing is being able to counter against very lost situations.
Right.
You know, pretty much the team has the other team keeps getting all the dragons. They got Baron. They got all their turrets down. They're right down to the inhibitors. And they're pretty much Team Solomid's pinned up against the wall. And so far, I think they've been doing pretty okay on that part because currently the new thing about Summoner's Rift is that they changed Dragon to where it now gives you buffs.
Right.
Yeah, and you can have up to 5 buffs. First buff gives you attack damage and ability power. Second buff gives you more damage against towers. Third buff gives you movement speed. Fourth gives you more damage against minions and monsters. And the fifth buff doubles the other 4 buffs and allows you to deal burning damage.
Right.
So they're down 4 dragons, and one of their turrets is pushed all the way. But in the meantime, they've also been pushing other turrets on their end, on the other team, on the enemy team's end, and just trying to make their way. But they haven't been able to push it that far. So they're pinned against the wall. The other team seems like they got the upper hand, but they come back out of it. They manage to turn it completely around while Turtle gets off all these kill after kill after kill on each and every single one of these guys using Jinx. And then Team Solo Mid just charges down the lane and they end the game. I think. It went something to that effect because that was incredible. But yeah, they're currently trying to work on their counterplay. I can admire that. Although I will admire more that the teams that are lower on the roster right now, teams like Coast pretty much, and I'm hoping that they'll do better as time progresses. And if there was ever a time to start like progressing up in the leaderboards or in the team standings, now would be the time. Now would be the time so that you can cement your place in the World Championships, if anything.
Okay.
Aside from that, I'm also looking forward to Dash Bullshits. Have you ever heard of him?
Oh, I've heard of him. I'm subscribed to him on YouTube.
Yeah, he's originally doing a playthrough of This War of Mine, and I absolutely love it. I love how descriptive he gets. I love how much he pays attention to the detail and talks about the detail of the game and of the story and of different aspects of the game. And it's just a very entertaining watch. Once he's done with it, I might just watch the entire thing all over again. I think it's that good.
All right.
It's not funny. It's not.
Well,
it's,
no.
it's not-
I'm just
but
trying to
it's just
segue to
like-
the next part.
It's very informative and it's very entertaining to listen to.
Right. All right. Kyo, did you have anything looking forward to into new games that are coming out?
Yeah. World of Warships.
World of Warships?
World of Warships.
That's like the boat, right?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Actually,
He's been talking to me the last couple of days about it, and he's trying to get himself into the beta right now. I think. Still.
like, is this like this takes place in the same vein as World of Tanks and World of Airplanes?
Yeah, it's those guys.
All right, that's really cool. I remember recently someone, I think it was Matt Pat of Game Theory, along with a bunch of other YouTubers who went off to, it wasn't World of Tanks, but it was War Thunder, their competition, to see how historically accurate the tanks were to their game counterparts. The only notable thing about that Game Theory video was that, oh, well, tanks don't fail as much as they would in real life. But that's fine because you have to sacrifice some reality if you want to have an enjoyable experience of the game.
To have fun with it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even Call of Duty does that.
Call of Duty does it all the time.
Implying Call of Duty has realism.
You could say the same thing. Battlefield does that all the time as well. It does have some.
Any game outside of Oma has realism.
Yeah. But besides that, do you have anything else?
What else is coming out? There isn't much coming out. I mean, I've seen the Uncharted playable bit of that. That's looking pretty good.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think you can think of anything else. Yeah, and we're all like right now games. The only other game I could say about talking about doesn't come out till June. That would be Arkham Knight. And
Oh, yeah.
that game, I already have it pre-ordered because I did it in the Humble Bundle store. I'm just waiting for them to let me have it. I am looking forward to it because I found out it was rated mature, so I'm going like, where's that going?
Oh, you know what? Game of Thrones Telltale series. I gotta get that.
I'm not much for Game of Thrones, but that's just me. I'm just not much for that. The same thing goes for Walking Dead. I'm not a big fan of that either, but it's just most TV things that turn into video games. I'm more or less afraid to play them because if I don't have any basic knowledge of it, I'm not going to get any of the references that they're trying to make. I'll say it that way.
Right.
So, I don't have the luxury of being able to watch Game of Thrones. I could watch Walking Dead if I wanted to, but I'm not much for a zombie type show. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but
I actually still have to read up on. Well, I'm all caught up when reading with Walking Dead. I'm just waiting for them to come out with the next volume that I can read.
right.
That's going to be fantastic.
But yeah, outside of those type of games right now, there's nothing really coming out. I mean, like I said, next month is pretty much GTA 5 for PC and MKX. Those are two notable ones that I know of are coming out right next month that are big name titles. I don't know if there's anything else coming out next month that's big name though.
Not next month, although in League of Legends, just a few things that are coming out. Mostly just April Fool's skins.
Yeah.
The Surprise Party Moo, the Archduke Nasus, the Earth Namity, the Lord of the Banana Soraka, and definitely not Udyr.
Which I kind of like that one just for a little bit.
It's definitely not Udyr, guys. It's just a guy wearing a bear suit. I just realized Pedo Bear Udyr is real now.
Just don't send him near Annie.
Well, the sad part is he's already been near a Moo.
True.
That's why a Moo cries all the time.
He is the very sad mummy. But anyway, I think that's it. I think we've said enough for this evening. I hope you enjoyed our first try at a podcast. Like I said, we haven't come up with the name yet. Something that we all have to kind of agree upon for now. We'll just
there is
call
one more thing we can talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
Nintendo announcement about their supposed next console.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. The only thing is that there's not enough details to really talk about outside of it. They're making it. You could speculate on what it's gonna have because chances are it's gonna have some type of innovation to it.
I wouldn't doubt if it were a portable. Well, actually, it can't be a portable game.
They just made the new.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of a portable. I think it would be a console.
You know what? Actually, I figured it out. I was actually thinking about it when I was listening to the co-optional. I was listening to TB and Jesse talk about it, and the one thing they talked about how they thought it was going to be either a console or a portable, and I was like, it's not either. It's probably an add-on for the Wii U.
I think I'd go with the replacement to the Wii U.
Yeah, I would too.
Failure, so they need to.
I wouldn't necessarily call the Wii U right now a failure. I'd say it's
a failure.
you could call every Nintendo a failure because that's who you are. I'm saying it's not a failure as of right now. And when it first came out, yeah, it was a failure.
But
But
there are actual games behind it, and there's no reason to replace it right now.
Yeah.
Because right now it's doing really well because of the first-party titles that have come out for it.
Yeah, it's
So
finally.
it's gotta be an add-on. Maybe it replaces the Wii U pad
I don't.
with something better.
Honestly, I think it's going to be a console. Because the way it sounded, it was going to be either a solid upgrade to the Wii U, where it's going to just surpass it. I don't know what it's going to have. That's the way it just sounded to me. It could be, as you said, an add-on to it, but if it's like that, it almost feels like they're doing the same thing what Sega did to the Genesis.
You just watch. You just watch. It's gonna be an add-on to the Wii U, and then suddenly you're gonna be proven wrong, and I am going to look better. For
If it did that meta, if it really did that meta, I would probably die a little bit. Because, to be honest, Nintendo's really not known to put add-ons to a console. I mean, they're known to put peripherals to it, but they're not necessarily putting add-ons like
that's
Sega
what I mean.
did.
It could be a peripheral.
I don't know if it really needs that, though. I mean, it's already got enough peripherals. I mean, besides the Wii Pad, it's got the GameCube adapter to it.
They
I don't-
also made mention along. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Go on.
I just don't see the point of doing it. It doesn't seem like... Why would I want to put an add-on to it when it's already using disk space? It can already download digital versions of the same games, and it seems that they're putting so much effort to make it good and worthwhile with these games that have already just come out. I don't see the point of them putting an extra bit of an add-on to it when it's starting to become successful.
What about you, Kyo?
Oh, I still say it's a replacement. I think they've decided to move on. And I will still stand by the Wii U is more or less a failure. It may have the content now, but that doesn't fix it.
All right.
What they need is something. It's the third parties, I'm thinking, they're trying to get back. They lost third-party support on the Wii U.
No, they lost third-party support with the Wii.
No, it was enough with the Wii.
Not much.
Not much, but whatever they had
That's where-
left died with the Wii U. I'm thinking this is gonna be more of
What are the
trying to
two?
regain that trust.
What are the two third-party games that I've heard come out for a Nintendo console in the modern day? The two that immediately come to my mind are Ultimate Monster Hunter 4
Mhm.
for the 3DS and Bayonetta 2.
Yeah.
For the Wii U.
Yeah.
Those two are the big ones.
Yeah, those are the big ones. They
Those are
lost.
third party.
Yeah, and those are the only third party that the Wii U has ever gotten. They lost their third party support when it was the Wii. The Wii alone was...
Sorry, but are you forgetting that EA and Ubisoft has released major games on the Wii U?
Yeah,
Decided Spence to never release games on them again.
yeah, they did. They did put those on there. Problem was, those games were not as good as what they were, and they were also already released.
Yeah.
That's not really a point, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it is, because here's the thing. You have to think about this as Arkham City. That was released in November of 2011 alongside Skyrim. The Wii U wasn't out yet. When the Wii U came out, one of the very first games that they put for launch titles was Arkham City Armored Edition, which just added a new element. It wasn't successful. It's the same thing that the 3DS had that same problem. Super Street Fighter 4 for the 3DS. Not as successful on the portable system. Even though it was one of the most successful fighting games out there that Capcom has ever made in a long time.
Third party is important, though.
I
It
know
is.
third party is important, but the Wii is the one that killed it, not the Wii U. The Wii U just took the ideas like, we want this on our system. Could you do that for our system? Could you just make the same game add a new element to it and put it on our system. And they said, sure, give us enough money, we'll do it.
And it's just like they were like, but afterwards they said no.
Yeah, they started to. But
That's the problem. That's the problem, though.
yeah, but I don't think the Wii U
They
killed
don't
that.
want to anymore.
Well, I
It's
think the
also-
Wii U didn't do that. I think the Wii is the one that started that. And that's where they lost a lot of their support. Because, yeah, I remember when I played the GameCube, there was a lot of third-party support for that system. A whole hell of a lot. When the Wii came out, it was supposed to be a better version of the GameCube. Problem was, they had to work with a controller.
They fucked
that
up
wasn't
when they
typical.
decided that was the controller they were going to use.
Yeah, they fucked it up that way, and that's why a lot of them used the GameCube controller combination. They were forced to. So that's what killed it. When they made the Wii Pad, it brung it back, so that's why they kind of said, all right, we'll try it. But they already killed their third-party support well before the Wii U came out. So,
All right.
as much as I agree with you on certain things, Kyo, this one, I'm not sure. I think the Wii killed it first. They just only reinforced the idea with the Wii U.
All right. So third-party support, you can't count on that. So now what's the next step? What is the next step for Nintendo from here on out? Now
Go to the indies.
they also made after they made their-
Indies don't want to work with Nintendo though.
Bullshit, I've seen more indie games on the fucking Wii U and 3DS than I've
Alright.
seen on fucking PS4.
they seem to have made another announcement aside from the aside from the NX. What was the other announcement? It was something about collaborating with a PC development team to release games onto the PC.
No, they announced that they were going to put games on the mobile market.
Games on the mobile market. That's what it was.
And me and Kyo talked about this a little yesterday.
Pure Scum is who they partnered with.
I don't
Really?
know. I don't think that's their actual name, but I don't know their
Yeah.
actual name. I know they're just a major company that deals with a lot of cheapness with the money transaction.
They play the games that are designed to make the money disappear from your wallet.
Yeah,
Ah, okay. I'm not so.
and it's not King. For those of you that might assume it's King, it's not King.
For all we know, they might be worse than King.
Yeah, I've already come up with some ideas why they would do this is to get back the put out retro games similar to what Square did with putting out the Final Fantasy style games onto theirs.
Some people just aren't buying consoles anymore when they can just buy a tablet.
Well, it's not just that they're not buying like $200 3DSs when they can just straight up have a phone and you just
Yeah.
put all the games there. That's the whole point, or a tablet for that reason, where it could do a whole lot more than just play a game. You know, I understand why Nintendo's doing it. I also don't think it's the right decision because they're going to. It's going to go one of two ways. They're either going to piss off the fan bases by putting out a Mario game where you have 5 lives and they're timers, and in order for you to continue on, you have to pay money, or they're going to do fantastic and just release the old Mario game like Super Mario Brothers and The Legend of Zelda from the NES era and Super NES
I
eras.
believe this is going to be time of paywall.
Dana. It's a DENA.
Okay.
That's the that's
I don't-
that's the company.
Okay. But again, it's still like it's gonna go one of two ways, and they're gonna. I would think if they're gonna put Zelda, they're gonna lock the dungeon until you make a certain rank or you buy it. If it's Zelda, if it's Mario, it's based on lives. If it's Pokemon, it's based on.
I don't know. This just
something
feels
else.
kind of like a cash grab to me.
Yeah, but this is something they've been thinking about for a long time. And usually they do have a say on what the quality assurance. And I always trust Nintendo's games because their quality has always been great. To me, I don't think they've ever really released a game that was really, really bad in terms of its quality in the last 10 years. The only one I could think of off the top of my head really wasn't made by them. It was made by Rare, and that was Star Fox Adventures.
Well, we forgetting all these Kobe games that they've been releasing recently.
Like Epic Yarn? I guess that's the only one I know of.
I'm not talking about that though.
Well,
I'm talking about like just the normal, typical games like Mario, Zelda, Pokemon.
actually, we could talk about the Legend of Zelda game that is open world.
What in the future? The future game that's going to come on the Wii U?
I mean,
Yes.
the one that there's no info to talk about.
Yeah. What can we talk about? There's speculation.
We've seen footage. We've never even got proper footage on that.
Yeah, they just showed what art designs they have. There's
There's-
really nothing else to talk about there, Meta. I like the idea of an open world Zelda game. I think it's really good.
I think the biggest thing here that we should be asking is, wasn't Ocarina of Time and Majora's Masks technically open world?
Technically, if you're going on that logic, they're all open.
Yeah. You could say for the same thing of the original Zelda. Like, you're always in a top-down perspective. You're always going to a specific place to get whatever item in there or doing a side quest or stuff like that. All Zelda games, technically, if you go by that respect, is open world. But the problem is that they're technically not. It's pretty linear in terms of where you have to go and which dungeons you can do.
Right. So, Kyo has disappeared. We'll
He
be
had-
back soon.
He had probably got called down to somewhere, and that's why he's on mute and off camera. But yeah, an open world Zelda, I would kind of expect it to play similar in terms of the open world of Bethesda open world games. I don't know what they would do per se in terms of how to make that work, and make it improved compared to those, like compared to Skyrim and Fallout. But I would assume that's what the direction they would want to go with that.
I have to say, that's if they didn't consider Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword to all be open world, then I can't even imagine how big this world is going to be.
Well, the only reason I think the only true open world game of Zelda that we had was really Wind Waker, because that one's the only one that did kind of feel like it was open world.
Even Wind Waker, that's another good point. Even Wind Waker, though,
Yeah.
wasn't considered to them open world. That is nuts.
Yeah,
I want to see what their version of open world is, and it's going to be interesting to behold.
see, I would like
Um,
if they're gonna go that route. I want to see like multiple universes that you can cross through. And I mean, like, speaking of, like, you can cross over to the universe of where Majora's Mask happened. Or you can cross over to, like, the Twilight Realm or the Dark World from A Link to the Past. Stuff like that. I want to see some crossovers, or even the Dream World that was in Link's Awakening. If you're going to do an open world, you got to make it all connected. All you have to do is just modernize them.
right.
Because they are all connected in some way, shape, or form. I just want to see a connection that puts all these worlds into the one world universe that you're trying to make sure this is where it's following. Because that book, their history of The Legend of Zelda and how it was designed, where they went, could all coincide in the same universe, essentially. So I want to see, like, if they're going to put an open world to it, they have to do something to make it worth its time.
Yeah.
I'm
Welcome
not
back.
sure how they would do it. That's my speculation, is that they're probably going to go that route. If they don't, I'm not going to be disappointed to what they do, but I would wish that they would take that route.
Yeah.
But other than that, anything about the new Zelda possibly coming out when it comes out in the Wii U is pure speculation. We don't know what they got planned. Just kind of have to wait until we see more information. We probably won't see any till E3. So, I don't think there's anything else to talk about. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
Can Can't think. No, I think we hit everything.
Yeah, for the time being. Meta?
No, I've pretty much hit on a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about. I think it was good. I think it was good we had this talk. I mean, I guess I could talk about my computer specs now because I've been working towards upgrading my computer. I got a 750 watt power supply in it now from the 600 it used to be.
Right.
It's now got the reason I found out why my 8-core processor wasn't working in it, why the 4 gigahertz thing wasn't working in it for a while. Apparently, my BIOS wasn't up to date, and because of that, it didn't register that the 8 cores were there.
Okay.
Something like that. It didn't know how to properly organize the information coming into like the extra 2 cores that were added. So whenever it tried to, it would blue screen. So upgrading the BIOS fixed that, and now my computer seems to be running smoothly.
Okay.
Been putting it through a lot of stress tests. For a while, I've been doing streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Could I promote my stream right now?
Save it for the end, and which I kind of would like to end it soon because we've been talking for about 2.5 hours. I don't know how much disk space I have left from recording here.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
I was trying to end it soon, like about a half hour ago, but we kept continuing.
All right, go on.
I'm sorry to cut you off with that, Meta. I know that you wanted to explain it. And I think next time we do this, you can go ahead and finish off whatever you want to speak about it, because by then you should have your computer maybe fixed at that point. I don't know. But anyway, as I was gonna end it with, like I said, people, this is our first attempt at a podcast. We don't have a name for it, so probably the temporary beta name for it we'll call it the Elemental Podcast for now. We'll come up with something better in the meantime.
Elemental jibber jabber.
Or something like that. Yeah, we haven't really decided yet, and we still need to get Dread in on that and everything. But
sponsored by Mr. T.
Don't start doing that, Meta. But yeah, we're just trying this out, and we like some feedback on it to see what you guys think about it. Hopefully, you do enjoy our little talk about whatever's trending in the world, whatever it was, Common Core or video games or whatever that we just talked about tonight. And I hope you enjoy this really, really long podcast about it, because it's just our thoughts about it that we normally talk on our own time. But yeah. I think this was a successful podcast by us. I don't know about you guys.
Successful gaming podcast. I don't know about. We dedicated like 30 minutes to one section and then dedicated another 2 hours to another thing.
Well, here's the thing about Common Core. We got enough out there where it was understandable and what we thought about it, and there really wasn't much else to talk about with it. With gaming, there's so many games out there that we could talk for hours upon hours. I got a next podcast topic. Why does Florida have so much fucked up things going on? We'll continue that on another time. Anyway, I'm gonna try to my goal is to make this podcast happen every 2 weeks, not every week, because if we went every week, there's gonna be less and less to talk about, and I don't want that. So 2 weeks seems like a good time to have a podcast. And I'll try to keep it down to at least 2 hours. I don't want to make this 2.5 hours or any longer than that, because you guys would lose interest, and that's not good. So I'm gonna probably break this down. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Follow our streams. Mine would be Dark Knight Phoenix on Twitch, twitch.tv/Dark Knight Phoenix, or Metas, which he can pimp out right now.
You can watch me on www.twitch.tv/METAARMIGATA, because I cannot change the name of my Twitch channel.
Exactly.
And what URL it is for some reason. So You can catch me streaming every weekday Saga Frontier, which is a game that is dear to my heart from my past. From 2 p.m. to onward, honestly, until I feel like stopping.
In the Eastern time
2 p.m.
zone.
Eastern in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah, Eastern time zone for him. Because me and Keo live on the west side, and ours is like 3 hours earlier.
I
We
do
will
have a list of individual times for each time zone listed there.
exactly. So, if you're, like you said, 2 p.m. Eastern, if you're any on the other zones, just know where you live. If you live on the west side of the United States, think 3 hours earlier than that. Anyways, I think we're done here. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you enjoy our first attempt at a podcast. Thank you.